Hello, everyone. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're enjoying Paris. Welcome to Paris. We're very glad as a community that Paris is hosting the OpenX conference this year. I don't know if this is the first time for any of you in Paris. Maybe not, maybe yes. Oh, great. So if so, please get to know your colleagues. You have some people besides you, exchange your email, use the web conference application, and go and get a view of Paris, which is very beautiful. Welcome to 4 organizations, 2 continents, dozens of learners impacted, and one platform, edX. I'm Albeiro Gonzalez. I'm the head of hosting at Edunext. Edunext is one of the core contributors providers within the community with more than 12 years of experience. I've been working with Edunext for more than 7 years with the technology of edX. And I was thinking about the best way to start this talk. And if you allow me, it starts with a personal anecdote. Last year, I had the honor to speak at the OpenX Conference 2024 in Cape Town, South Africa. And we spoke a little bit about how success may look like in different types of organizations using OpenEdX. But it wasn't just a talk. For me, it was a personal reflection. As soon as I closed my computer, plugged it, left the room, I started thinking about why I was doing what I was doing. So it's a good question. Probably you have gone through this question, I don't know, a couple of times in life. But for me, it was the first time I started thinking about it and asking myself about my mission in life. So it didn't stop there. I continued thinking about it. So I took a flight. I had some vacation time. I took a flight from Cape Town to here, Paris. And I have some relatives that live close to Paris, 1 hour. And I spent 2 weeks continue thinking about that mission and asking myself about what I wanted to do with the daily activities I used to do and my daily work. And it wasn't an easy task. In fact, I continue reflecting on it a little bit. And when I resumed conversations with our customers and with our clients, I was glad to find that there were some stories, some inspiring stories there that I wanted to know and I wanted to share. As you know, OpenEdX recently reached the remarkable milestone of 100 million users, a big milestone for the community. And when I started taking a look at some data from our customers and for our clients, I just found some inspiration that I wanted to share. And what I bring today is a couple of stories, a small percentage of those 100 million users. And they are not the biggest numbers within OpenEdX. I don't bring 200,000 users per month, 20,000 concurrent users, very big numbers. No. What I bring today is 4 small stories, what I call small but powerful stories, that show that beyond the numbers, OpenEdX has an impact and is changing lives everywhere and in parts you cannot even imagine. So, without further ado, let's start. I want you to come with me first to Chile. We're going to see how a university organization is using OpenEdX to transform lives. Universidad de Desarrollo is a universidad in the private sector in Chile. It's been leading the sector for many, many years. It was founded in 1990 with more than 35 years of experience, more than 36,000 graduates between 1995 and 2024. And it's very recognized for its approach to innovation and for connecting learners to the job market. Precisely based on the latest, they created an organization, an initiative that is called Signa UDD. Signa UDD, whose purpose is precisely to provide learners with the practical skills they need to access the job market, was created for this purpose and provide these learners with these possibilities. When they were looking for an LMS, they were looking, of course, this is quite common, when looking for an LMS, robust platform which is flexible, scalable, reliable, etc., etc. So in the beginning, they had some requirements. They needed an LMS, but it needed to be different from the one they were using for the university. They needed to create everything from zero. They were not reusing the content they already had with the university. They needed to create all the content, all the videos from the get-ground. And of course, they were looking for cost effectiveness, and thankfully, OpenEdX offered them that solution. A couple of challenges in the beginning for Universidad del Desarrollo. Learning how to use OpenEdX. Probably, I'm assuming all here know what OpenEdX is and has worked with OpenEdX. It's a very robust platform, full of options, dozens of options in terms of components, resource content, and etc. But it's not that easy to understand in the beginning if you have not used it before. So one of the challenges was learn how to use the technology effectively, the CMS and the LMS, and start creating the project. They needed to customize the LMS set, even though it was a new initiative within the university. They need to match the branding from the university with the LMS. And they have an internal system for managing students as many organizations. So they needed to integrate the LMS with the internal system. So let's see how they actually adapted OpenEdX. The first step, of course, is to assemble a team. The team for them looks like this at this moment: one support person, one developer, one product owner, one designer, and one assistant for managing in-person certification. When I was talking to the person in charge of the project, I was asking like how long did it take them to implement OpenEdX. When he told me 6 months, I was like surprised. I was like, hey, that's a very short period of time. But then after continuing the conversation, he just told me, Mauricio, his name, he just told me that it wasn't just that. That was from the moment they decided to use OpenEdX until they launched the first couple of courses. When we continue the conversation, he just told me, hey, but there is a lot of work behind it. And we needed to create everything for the ground from zero. And that took us 1.5 years. So in total, the implementation of OpenEdX took them approximately 2 years to have this implementation ready. Let's see in more detail what type of integration they did. The first is a WordPress integration. They integrate WordPress with the LMS. There is a plugin available open source in the community that you can use to integrate the LMS with the WordPress site. Essentially, you manage everything on WordPress. There is your marketing experience, your course description, your course catalog. Everything is happening on WordPress. And students use the LMS, of course, when they have to log in to create an account and actually go and take the courses. And this is the first part of the integration, and we take a look at the other part of the integration. As I said before, they had an internal system that they needed to integrate with OpenEdX. So there is a flow that they're using. So the first part happens in WordPress. The student goes and creates an account, and then there is an enrollment process using the OpenEdX APIs. Then, using the APIs from OpenEdX, they check on the student's progress, and internally within their system, they calculate and estimate the progress of the student. Third, automatic enrollment for incompletion. The API checks the progress of the students and determines if the student is having a good grade or not. And if not, it automatically unenrolls the user from the platform. And finally, they generate certificates, and via correctly integration using as well the APIs from OpenEdX, they generate the badges for the students that are getting their certificates. So as we can see, 2 integrations that they don't look too sophisticated, right? Like OpenEdX made easy this process. A plugin to integrate WordPress and a couple of APIs to retrieve and exchange information. So far, there's a lot of work involved. 2 years, a whole team involved in creating the content. So let's see a couple of numbers from Universidad de Desarrollo. More than 6,000 registered users, more than 55 active courses. When they started using the platform, they only had 2 active courses. The enrollment by years have progressively increased during the last years, and 2025 looks very promising. We might be talking about 6,000 enrollments this year, 6,200 completed courses, 47 completion rate, 4,700 certificates issued, as well as badges, and they report an automation level of 95%. The 5% left that they report is the person in charge of support, answering questions and taking inquiries from the students. Now, let's see like more a qualitative feedback or a way of measuring. They measure success via satisfaction surveys. So 97% of students taking the courses report they have a good instructor within the courses. 94% report that they trust course resource and quality. 97%, 95% platform ease of use, which is points in favor to edX. The platform is easy to use. And what I think it summarizes this initiative is that 93% of learners, people, report that they getting the practical skills they need to access the job market. And this is what I want to reflect on at this moment. An initiative in Uruguay, a university, decides to change its approach to connect learners to the job market. And beyond the numbers and beyond all the data, what it matters is their impact on lives in Chile. So as you know, job is an important part of a person's life everywhere, but especially in Latin America, where I come from as well. Behind a job, there is a family. Behind the family, there is a community. Behind a community, there is a whole city, country transformation. So this organization is, at the end of the day, impacting lives, and that's how I wanted to summarize this first short but powerful story. Just a couple of seconds to drink some water because it is quite hot.
How does that work in Chile? If you have the diploma, you certainly get a job. What's the kind of guarantee that you have if you have all of these courses, for example?
Not necessarily. Like one of the ideas of creating this thing at UDD was to provide learners, it could be graduates or not graduates, the possibility to get practical skills. And that's like the main mission they're having to, they want to implement. I don't know if that answers the question.
Yeah, I'm just curious about the culture, how, well, having, for example, a certificate of a course or a diploma helps you to get into the job market. Related to the last remark that you made, that it really has an impact on society.
Well, one additional fact is that when they take these courses, they get some credits that later redeem within the university, and that also helps them to like strengthen their profiles and access the, the possibilities within the job market. Great. Now, if you agree, I will move to our next story. We're gonna go to Portugal, and we're gonna see how a publishing house with a very long history, more than 81 years of history, it's been transforming education for decades and culture within Portugal. It's a household name already in Portugal. It's very recognized across generation. Everyone knows what Porto Editora is. A child taking a course, an adolescent going to high school, probably has a book that with the brand Porto Editora. And as many institutions, they decided to evolve and they realized that just books weren't enough. So they decided to invest in a couple of things: international expansion, literature promotion, And finally, digital innovation. Regarding to digital innovation, they have invested, created a couple of platforms. One of those is Escuela Virtual, and the other is the one that I want to show you today, which is Academia Digital. Academia Digital has the main purpose not only to train corporate and people associated with Puerto Editora, but also like provide personal training. When I was talking to Wanda, the person in charge of the project, I was trying to gather some insights to be able to come here and tell the story. She just told me that one important factor to choose OpenEdX was that the platform needed to be open source, and that was the main reason of decision for them. They needed some flexibility to customize the platform, adapt it to its needs, and that's why they chose OpenEdX. A couple of challenges in the beginning. Since they had this traditional way of operating, they needed to transform everything and bring together educators, authors, managers, photographers, video editors, a wide range of professionals to be able to migrate from in-person offering to the online world. Focus on how high quality. High quality is important in any type of project, but especially when you have 81 years of reputation that everyone knows you in your country and you have to protect it. It is very important that you do not lose quality when changing from in person to the digital world. Technical integration with OpenEdX, different course formats, integration with third-party tools, a branded user-friendly experience. Even though, again, it was a new initiative, you needed to be under the coverage, under the umbrella of the parent organization, which is Puerto Editora. And finally, since they have a strong presence within the country, they needed to make sure that they were able to scale as they grow. So OpenEdX offers this possibility, and with OpenEdX is quite easy to scale according to your needs. Let me go to the next one. How they adopted OpenEdX. In fact, the team they have for managing OpenEdX is one operational manager and one developer. But the big task they had, as we mentioned before, is they needed to assemble developers, educators, authors, content managers, designers, video editors to be able to build this new educational offering. Just an example of how they're using OpenEdX. This is as well a WordPress integration. It works very similar to the one we saw for Universidad del Desarrollo. It's a WordPress site. They have a single sign-on integration with SAML. As you can see on the screen, they use it to access the platform with Academia Virtual emails. And also there is an e-commerce within that WordPress that they use with the OpenEdX APIs to sell their courses. So again, it's not a complicated integration. It's quite visible. There is a plugin within the community, and this demonstrates how easy it is to use OpenEdX to integrate a couple of platforms with the platform itself. A couple of numbers to see the impact of this organization. Registered user more than 52,000, almost 53. More than 50 active courses, more than 14,500 completed courses, completion rate of 21%, 21.20%, certificates issues more than 14,000, almost 15,000, total enrollment 68,000 users, and especially in terms of accessibility and inclusivity, since they were changing the way they were operating all these years. They needed to find a platform that offers inclusivity and accessibility, and they found in OpenEdX that solution. Just to finish this short story, I was trying to gather some feedback from Vanda, the person in charge of the project, and to be able to come here and tell it as best as I can. And When they proposed the change and use open edX for offering their services, in the beginning they offered textbooks, reference books, literature, many educational tools, and they were a little bit worried about the adoption and reception of the open edX platform, especially with adults over 40. But fortunately, the feedback they have gathered and received has been remarkable, and they're quite happy with the adoption of the platform. And that's what I want to say, that it is also impacting lives, especially in the part of Porto Editor has been present for decades in Portugal. So if there is a child going to school, there is a book or something that says Porto Editor. If there is an adolescent taking a class in high school, probably there is a material that says Porto Editor. If you go to college, university as well. So an organization that already has a strong presence in education wants to change its offer to continue changing lives and accompanying people in education in Portugal. So this is my second story. Quick pause again for water. And now, if you allow me, I want you to come with me to Costa Rica. In Costa Rica, there is an organization, a cooperative called Copelesca, with more than 60 years of experience. It offers services such as TV cable, internet, electricity, energy consultancy, and for its own, like the mission of Copelesca, it's quite remarkable. They take services to rural areas where people don't have basic services. So, from the corporate perspective, it's already very remarkable and it's a noble mission. They have a presence, especially in the north zone in Costa Rica, more than 4,500 kilometers of coverage. But they decided to create a new initiative within the scope of Catalesca that is called VidaCube. VidaCube, the main mission is to provide communities with access to education, especially for ages of different age groups, in fact. And Mauricio is also, there are two Mauricio. Mauricio is also the person in charge of this organization. And when I was trying to gather some feedback, they just told me that they felt the need to evolve and change the way they were operating to start impacting communities more from the perspective of education. So a couple of challenges when they were looking for LMS, they didn't have experience with any LMS. They were looking for a platform to start building this new initiative and this new project. So a couple of challenges. They needed to actually start everything from zero, define pedagogical goals tailored to children, youth, and adults. They needed to assemble a team as well. They needed to create digital courses, everything from zero. They needed to train facilitators and technical staff. This is essentially the same that we need in Universidad del Desarrollo. OpenEdX is a powerful platform, but it requires some time to be able to use it effectively. With a key focus and a key mission of provide education of quality to communities. Let's see how they actually adapted OpenEdX. There was a couple of stages: configuration, testing, and customize. I will not spend much time there. And in fact, they use, but since they need to tailor the education for different age groups, they are using an OpenEdX feature or feature that is available within OpenEdX, which is multi-tenancy. They have different element size, 5 in fact, to offer their education, differentiate one from another. Escuela Virtual Copelesca and Capacitación Copelesca are for internal training, associates and no associates. Then they have VidaCube Niños, VidaCube Asociados, and VidaCube Jóvenes for the VidaCube initiative. So in terms of OpenEDX and multi-tenancy, it is possible to have different element sites completely separate one from another and different types of configuration. You can have something like, I will gonna use the login of OpenEDX to access this platform, but on the other element side, you can customize it completely different. You can integrate a single sign-on, but maybe for the third, you can integrate a WordPress configuration, and this is what multi-tenancy gives you the possibility of doing, like separate the sites completely and be able to differentiate your educational offering within OpenEdX. It was important to reflect VidaCube's brand identity, same as the other organization. We needed to match the brand from the main organization to the new initiative. Design distinct learning experiences, as we saw before. This is also point in favor of OpenEdX. They needed to adapt the content for different ages. So for children, they needed components more interactive, and they found that in OpenEdX, using, for example, H5P. For adults, especially elders, they also had the challenge to integrate it into the digital world, and they reported that OpenEdX provided them with that solution. One of the things that they wanted to do is to combine in-person education with this online education. They are a cooperative, they have a strong presence, they perform gatherings quite often, so they needed to combine OpenEdX with in-person gatherings, field trips, and engage the adults into the digital world. And this was the other part that they were performing with OpenEdX. Now, a couple of numbers to see the impact of this organization. More than 2,200 courses completed on OpenEdX, more than 13 theme courses on different topics like cooperation and well-being. Youth participants now lead national events. Since it has a direct impact on the community, the young people taking the courses are now participating in more events within the community. Other adults feel digitally included and empowered, as we mentioned before. Widespread regional reach, including rural areas, and intergenerational learning, families learning together. A couple of extra number of registered users, active courses, completed courses, completion rate, and total of enrollments. Again, numbers are great, but beyond the data, I want to show a little story. I'm gonna leave it on the screen. But when I was talking to the person in charge of the project, I was looking for a testimonial to demonstrate like the qualitative impact of the organization. And there is a simple story. La señora Maylin, Doña Maylin, who took a couple of courses. The first was Leading My Wellness, Liderando Mi Bienestar, and she reported that after taking the course, she started working out, exercising, something that she didn't do before. And after taking another course, Leading My Finance, Liderando Mis Finanzas, she was able to launch a small business. All of this while she has a son with disability and continue taking care of her son. You might say two simple courses, right? Two simple stories, but the impact they had on this person and the way this person reported that OpenX and VidaCube, in fact, is changing her life shows a little bit like the noble mission that this cooperative is having in Costa Rica. As I mentioned before, they have a strong presence in the north zone in Costa Rica, and they want to continue expanding the coverage not only for the services they offer, but also impacting the communities in rural areas, which in Latin America, you may not know, is quite difficult to have these types of services, and even more in rural areas, it's very difficult to go with online education because besides the logistic challenge, it is difficult to go and teach people how to use even a laptop or a computer. So this is my third story. Again, a quick pause to drink some water. And I'm gonna go to our fourth story. Finally, I invite you to go to Mexico with me and let's see how a different type of organization. We're gonna see how our ONG is transforming lives in Mexico. So, Atentamente is an ONG focused on providing resources for effectively managing emotional and mental health. It was founded in 2012, more than 10 years of experience. A couple of facts that will give you a better idea of Atentamente. 2017, they were part of the consultancy team that made possible within Mexico to get mental health and emotional education approved in the national curriculum. In 2022, they won the WISE Award. I don't know if maybe you know the award. It's an award given by the Qatar Foundation every year to six organizations, especially for those who have a strong impact in innovation and education. They were one of the six organizations that year to won the award. And different from the others, they didn't create a new initiative. They needed to create a new organization. They just needed to start migrating their content to the digital world. And let's see how they actually did it. A couple of challenges. Mariana is the person in charge of this project, and she made a strong emphasis that when they were looking for a platform, they were looking for a platform for an LMS that was able to provide all the robustness they needed to create everything from zero and to be able to scale as they grow. Um, when I was talking to Mariana as well, like trying to identify how long did it take them to carry on with the project. She just told me that they spent 1 year and a half building everything from zero. They needed like a team or someone who could manage OpenEdX. In the beginning, they were just one person. Um, as you may not know, one person might not be that scalable. You might encounter some issues during the way. So it is necessary to have someone there to help you like manage the platform. And well, finally, the platform was managed by just one person. In detail, um, a couple of stages that you can see on the screen. The initial step was created by one team member. Courses were fully redesigned. They needed to actually create everything from zero for more than 18 months. Recording all videos from zero. This is funny. I just was hesitating to put this on the screen, but Mariana made a strong emphasis that this was really difficult. Like this was the most difficult part of the whole project. Record the videos, edit the videos, and have everything ready to be able to launch the first couple of courses. And they also use the multi-tenancy feature. They have two element sites, educard.atentamente.mx and custos.atentamente.mx. Again, the multi-channel feature I just mentioned before for offering its educational content. Some numbers that demonstrate the impact of this organization: more than 37,000 of teachers have been trained through the platform. The program has reached 15 out of the 32 states across the country. You can say almost 50% of the country has the presence of Atentamente. Registered users, active courses, completed courses, and completion rate. And again, while numbers give us a very strong idea of what they're trying to do and the impact they're having, there are a couple of testimonials I want to show you to finish this little story. I will not read it, of course, I will let them on the screen. But one organization in Mexico is trying to take care of mental health and emotions in a world that is crazy right now, that is happening a lot of stuff, and sometimes you can identify within our leaders if they have a little of emotional management and mental health management, maybe we shouldn't be in the conflicts that we have right now. So if an organization is taking care of those for infants, adolescents, and adults, I think that the mission is quite noble and they're having a tremendous impact on the country, and hopefully they will span to Latin and everywhere else in the world. So that was my four small but I hope powerful story. And I just want to finish with a small reflection. I started this talk while I just leave the slide for the future, how the future looks for the initiative, very summarized. I started this talk with a personal reflection that still is going on. But when I just found these stories, I connect the idea of being part of edX. My work is especially in customer support, service delivery, hosting service, not directly involved within the community, not a direct contributor. But even though I'm not a direct contributor, after having found these stories, I just realized that what I do every day has an impact in some place in the world. You might not notice, but since you're contributing to the community, since you're helping the community a little bit, make sure that you're impacting lives somewhere in the world. So that's it. Merci beaucoup.
I have a question, and I apologize if it seems juvenile, but are any of these used for credit-bearing courses in universities, or this is really just community? I don't mean in a negative way. This is targeting community at mass without charging for tuition or fees or anything, correct? Or
Yeah, Universidad de Desarrollo Universidad de Desarrollo especially provides credits within their courses, and they then redeem within the university. Lesca is a cooperative work strictly to the community, Atentamente as well. And Porto Editora has some alliances with national centers, but it operates a little bit different.